So how long have you been here?
Just a couple months.
Eli, can you by chance hear me?
Let me look around and he comes. Yes.
Thank you.
Ken, can you hear us okay?
I can hear you, Carrie.
All right.
Okay. You might want to turn up your volume because you seem quiet.
For today's meeting. This is
I'm actually in the airport
all right, hopefully
lobby.
you can. And audience, I'm calling to order the Port of Bellingham Board of Commissioners special open public meeting for Tuesday, November 16th, 2023. There are a couple ways to participate. Thank you all who are here in person. We are also on Zoom and on YouTube. I'll start our meeting with a roll call. Commissioner Briscoe. Here. Commissioner Bell.
Here,
And Commissioner
Here.
Sharps here. All three commissioners are present. I'm going to start with public comment. We provide public comments at the beginning and end of every public meeting. I have one person signed up, Mr. Patrick Darling. Yes. To the microphone.
Can I wait till the end, or
You can do either.
I would prefer the end because you may answer all of my questions.
Okay.
But I wanted to sign up just because I did have a question.
It is completely up to you. We will do our only action item and then we'll call for another. Anybody else in the room? Commissioner Briscoe is just wanting to state that we are going to take action on this item, and after the action is taken, you're still welcome to provide public comment, but we will have taken action.
Then I do want to make it.
Okay. There you go.
What I've been able to see is that the budget for the dredging has more than doubled. And we went from 4.18 million to 4.3 million additional. So that, now in my experience in getting work, when the budget doubles, there's a lot of questions and there's a lot of reasons for that to happen. And I haven't, I did a brief search and I couldn't figure out how the dredging went from 4 to 8. And that was kind of one of the reasons I'm here. And the other one is that, we're looking at paying for that in debt. That's what it says. Is that debt going to be issued by bonds and how does that debt go about getting repaid? Are we going to make an assessment to the taxpayers? And I guess those are my questions before we act on the item. And I understand that there are things that are hidden in the water, but we've been in the water business. You guys have been in the water dredging business for a while. So I was just wondering if those questions could be answered before we act on the item.
Those are great questions. We'll have a discussion on this action item, and then I'll make sure we cover those questions as part of our discussion. Thanks for asking. And, any questions or public comment from anyone else in the room? Anybody on Zoom want to provide public comment? All right, hearing none, Carrie, if you'd please read the motion.
Authorize an overall project budget increase to go towards construction costs at the Bellingham Shipping Terminal for the South Terminal, the heavy lift area, berth 1 and berth 2 dredging.
Thank you. Good afternoon, commissioners. Tiffany DeSimone, Director of Maritime. So you have in front of you an action memo to authorize a project budget increase for the construction costs at the Bellingham Shipping Terminal for berth 1 and berth 2 dredging. Just a quick clerical correction in the background of that document, background section. It says the port received 5 bids. We actually received 4 bids. Just want to clarify that. So we're proposing a $4.3 million budget increase funded by issuing debt to cover the cost of this capital project, which is partially funded by the Maritime Administration, and staff recommends approval. So if there are any questions, I've got sort of a team of people here to help me answer any questions.
Commissioner, I'll start off with the finance question, because we did indicate that that would be issued here. Typically, what we've been doing in recent years, because it's taken so long to get permitting for projects, is we're saying we're gonna issue debt, and then we're waiting till we get into that year and seeing how the cash flow looks, what projects we're actually able to get done versus ones that are gonna take longer to get permitted. And then we make a decision on the fly as to whether we want to issue that debt or not. If we do issue the debt, it could be bonding, it could be traditional bank debt. If we take any course of action, we would to reduce the interest payment on that. So whatever is the best interest rate is the manner of debt we will pursue. The debt would be paid off 100% by new revenues from the shipping terminal. So we're pursuing a number of lines of business here in addition to the ones we already have. We're very confident we're going to get some of those lines of business as soon as the dredging is done. We will go from having approximately 24 feet of depth to having about 34 feet of depth. So that additional depth will allow other ships to call Bellingham. Those ships will then service the additional debt that we put on to do this project. And that's the finance portion of it. As far as the cost overrun portions are, I mean, we could get into a detailed itinerary line by line as to what increased. It's not just the dredging that increased. There's increase in the pier strengthening work as well. This is a two-part project over a 2-year fish window. Dredging being done this year and pier strengthening being done in future years. We've seen inflation in almost all of our projects, and that inflation is anywhere from 20 to 50% on our project costs. So this is not abnormal for us in the last couple of years. It's actually been more the norm than not. I know contributing to this increase was increase in disposal costs, increased in raw materials, and increased in labor.
What does the spread of bids look like for this project?
Yeah, we probably have those.
Hello, Larry Skolton, Senior Project Engineer. They vary quite a bit, so the low bidder, American, was 22.4 with tax. All the way up to Orion was 30.3. So 30.3 million, that is. Is that what answer your question?
What was the second one?
So second was an extra let's see, extra 2.5 million. So IMCO was in at almost 25 million.
Well, it's nice that we're seeing a number of bids, or is a healthy number of bids for a project this large, to get us some spread on that, what the market is providing. And am I correct, we've worked with American before, the lowest bid that has been identified?
Yeah, they did our phase 1 of the Whatcom Waterway cleanup, and whenever I mention their name around the halls, everybody seems to be, oh yeah, they did a good job for us. So I haven't worked with them personally.
Well, if I remember correctly, there's a possibility maybe we'll lower the dredging costs if we can put some of that in the.
Yeah, ideally, we'd be putting it in the ASB, but the project, because we want the dredging done this fish window, it's too early for that. So this dredge material will be disposed of upland, but we're hoping future phases of the waterway cleanup, which there's more to come. Hopefully those will be able to dispose of in a cheaper manner.
So it's just a timing factor so we can get things done.
That's right. We have a fish window until mid-February this year to get the dredging done. We really want to hit that window.
Right, no, agreed.
And this project is bringing almost $7 million of federal funds into play, which is not quite half, but getting close. Are we, just refresh my memory, these are kind of time sensitive funds that we do have to make use of if we want to have them be available to us?
Yeah, there is a time constraint, but the biggest time constraint we met this past September, in getting the grant executed. And then now we have, I don't know if it's 3 to 5 more years to get the work completed.
Okay, so we have to get kind of the project actually started with some spending of money and allocation, design, permitting.
Yeah, it was permitting. It was the NEPA process had to be complete before the Maritime Administration would execute the grant. And that took quite a while. It took a couple of years.
Okay. And one more question for Mr. Darling. What is the nature of the sediments that we are dredging out, and what kind of pollution are we looking at, and why is this mostly a pollution issue, or is this a depth issue that we're primarily tackling?
It's a little bit of both. So under the MARAD grant, this is a maintenance dredging. However, the maintenance dredging, so that we can operate the terminal better, is within a cleanup area. The future projects that Rob was talking about, it's in Whatcom Waterway, will come in and re-dredge this area and get it down to a cleanup depth. And also do some additional work underneath the wharf. So there's an overlap of work. So right now we're doing the maintenance portion. I didn't answer your contaminants type portion of it. That's where I would hand it off to Brian.
Yeah, Brian Gowan, Director of Environmental and Planning. Yeah, so like exactly what Larry just said, that this is an overlapping project. So we actually have the maintenance work being done with MARAD oversight. It's also being managed with the Department of Ecology. So that's all covered as part of that. The contaminants are the same that are in the rest of the Whatcom Waterway, which is mainly mercury, phenolic compounds, and dioxin furans. And that's the same. This is not a hot spot. This is not anything unique. It's just that the maintenance project is ready to move forward. So, and we need that for revenue and for operational depth. So we worked with Ecology to say, hey, this is a maintenance project on a cleanup site, and they both parties agreed to manage it that way. So, yeah. Yep.
Hey, Brian, can you tell me the volume of the soil being remediated and what the total cost of that disposal is going to be?
So, sorry, Commissioner Bell, could you repeat that one more time? I just didn't hear you the first portion.
Just the total volume, how many cubic yards are you pulling out of there, and what's the disposal cost?
And what's the
As a percentage of the bill, or just to give it some perspective?
Okay, Commissioner Bell, you said cost, quantity, and I couldn't hear the third part.
No, I just repeated the first two parts.
Okay. So you were wanting to know what the cost of the dredging was and the quantity of the dredging.
What percentage of the bid is disposal?
Hang on, we're having audio challenges. And okay.
It's me. I'm in an airport lobby, so.
Okay. So the dredge quantity is 22,000 cubic yards. And let me see if I can do some in my head math. So that's about $5 million worth of work to dredge the materials and then dispose of the materials. That answer your question?
Yeah, I just wanted to give the public some idea of how much we're paying to get rid of this. That it is a hazardous waste, and it's a lot of its disposal cost.
Yeah, so pulling it out of the water is 830,000. The disposal is 4.3 million.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's what I mean. Yes. Right, exactly.
That's my point.
And so
That's his point.
That's upland disposal. This is not anything we've negotiated with for in water.
Correct, it's upland disposal.
We're not eligible for in water disposal. No.
That's all I've got.
Landfill then, is that?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
It gets transferred via the Duwamish Waterway down in Seattle from a barge to the upland.
But it's a train.
Yeah. And then for the cleanup section of the project, there will be an additional dredge that comes into both get additional depth and removal.
You got it.
So there are kind of two separate dredging operations that will happen sequentially.
Yes. So the Whatcom Waterway cleanup project is further out. It's going to start probably in 2026. So yeah, we'll go in and dredge the area in front and the entire berth 1 and berth 2 areas of the shipping terminal for this project. And then that project will come through and dredge a greater area and also come through the same berth 1 and berth 2 areas and do additional cleanup.
That's stuff we can probably do. We may be farther along.
And a lot of that is slated for the ASB for costs. The stuff that needs to go into the ASB will go into the ASB.
To achieve some cost savings there. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're paying up front right now, I'm gonna pull it back later.
Okay, thanks for that. Commissioner Bell, do you have any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Briscoe?
Authorize an overall project budget increase toward construction costs at the Bellingham Shipping Terminal for the South Terminal, the heavy lift area, berth 1 and berth 2 dredging.
Okay, Commissioner Briscoe?
Yes.
Commissioner Bell?
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. Carries 3-0. That's the end of our regularly scheduled business. I'll make another call for any additional public comment. Hopefully we were able to address your questions there. If there's anybody else on Zoom or in the room who want to provide public comment, this is your chance. Seeing none, we'll move into any other business. Commissioner Briscoe, do you have any other business for today?
Monkey business, but no.
Okay. Commissioner Bell.
Yeah, I've got about 8 items. If you don't mind, you guys have time?
Yeah, I'll get out.
Can't hear you, you're breaking up.
Should I get out my spreadsheet here for this?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I don't have anything today either. Anything from staff? All right, we're finished.
Thank you for your question.